The Nationals had just one of those days where they laid an egg against the New York Mets, but this first segment, we will be breaking that down, but New York Mets fans, I'm coming for you.
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And of course, I'm your host, Ryan Clary. You can catch me over on Twitter at RyanClary11 and as well as us on Twitter at LO_Nationals. And while you're at it, make sure to search us up wherever you get your podcast. Just search Locked On Nationals and on YouTube as well. Look up Locked On Nationals and hit that subscriber button, please. As on yesterday's show, we talked a lot about Riley Adams and the Nationals maybe kind of looking for a new position for him as they were back in 2022. Make sure to go back and listen to that episode from yesterday. I think it is a very intriguing move by Davey Martinez and Mike Rizzo and this staff. So that's where you find us. But later on in today's show, it is a new day, June 4th, 2024. Later on, we'll be previewing Game 2 of this Mets series as you have Trevor Williams, the ace of the staff, technically, against David Peterson against, left-handed pitcher for the New York Mets. Not all that great. We'll have that preview a little bit later on in today's show. Second segment, I saw this from someone over on Twitter. Discuss Baseball is his Twitter handle. The Nationals, C.J. Abrams, not been a good month for him. In the month of May, it was really bad. How bad was it? I'll tell you about that in the second segment of today's show. But we got to start talking about this Mets series as Game 1 yesterday, you have MacKenzie Gore in the bump, the Nationals' best pitcher on this staff, even though Trevor Williams is technically the best pitcher. We all know it's MacKenzie Gore. It's not even close. He is the best pitcher on this staff. So we'll talk about that. But today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. And from brakes to exhaust kits and beyond, eBay Motors has over 122 million parts to keep your ride or die alive. With all the parts you need at the price you want, it's easy to bring home that big win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay guaranteed fit. Only available to U.S. customers. So I have a little bit of a story about New York Mets fans I'm going to get into later on in this first segment. I just want to say I hate New York Mets fans. Oh my God. What a monstrosity of a fan base. I hate them with all my heart. I'm a hater. I'm not going to lie. A little bit of a hater. We'll have that in this and later on in this segment. But let's talk about baseball first. What happened on the field in yesterday's game. And MacKenzie Gore did not have his best stuff. You saw it really from the first few innings that this was going to be a little bit of a tough MacKenzie Gore day. And this is something that I've really noticed with him. And this kind of happens when you are a very ultra super competitive guy, the way that Gore is. You saw this with Max Scherzer a lot back in the day too. If things went bad, they go really bad, really quick. And Max Scherzer, again, multiple time Cy Young winner with this organization, was the best pitcher this franchise will ever see, one of the best pitchers of our generation. Max Scherzer is obviously in a tier of his own, but MacKenzie Gore kind of strikes some similarities with Scherzer, kind of the way that they are just as competitors. MacKenzie Gore, in yesterday's ball game, you see Eddie Rosario kind of lollygagging out there in right field that, maybe the Mets would have scored either way on this, but I was watching this because I was at the game, and my first reaction was, what are you doing, Eddie? He just kind of threw one lazily in second base when you have a runner who is making the turn from third base going home, and you didn't even try to compete there. You just kind of gave up on the play a little bit, and maybe there really wasn't that close of a competition. But when you're in a tight ball game against an NL East opponent at home, game 1 of the series with your ace on the mound, I need you to be out there running around, laying out for catches, trying to make your best effort out there because Eddie Rosario, one thing that really has kind of ticked me off about him besides his offensive production in the first part of the season is the way that he has as a defender. What he was doing last night, now, I don't know if people were watching on the TV broadcast or listening to Charlie and Dave on the radio, but if you were watching, you probably saw what I saw. I don't understand why Eddie Rosario was just in that situation, not really even really putting forth an effort. That was kind of one of those things where it really pissed me off. But MacKenzie Gore got pulled, didn't even make it through 5 innings, 6 earned runs. You have Dylan Floro come in. He kind of got mopped as well, got hit around, all those runs scored, bases loaded. It just wasn't a good night to be MacKenzie Gore. He was walking a ton of guys. And again, it was kind of a glimpse of 2023 MacKenzie Gore for his first full rookie season up in the majors. So it wasn't really the best night for Gore. Am I going to really kind of read stock into this and kind of read between the lines? No, because we know what to expect with Gore. This is probably his worst start all season long. This will probably be his worst start of all season, if we're being honest, because those are the expectations that I have for MacKenzie Gore, is to go out there and give this team a chance to win every single night. But even then, the offense, they came to play. The Nationals, they did their thing. And the New York Mets bullpen, boy, did they do their thing as well, kind of making it real tight at the end there, only losing by 1 run in yesterday's game. That's what the Mets do. That's what this Mets team does in particular. One of the worst, if not the worst, bullpens in all of Major League Baseball. And you saw that on display last night. But even furthermore than that, yesterday's loss really wasn't as bad as you would expect. It wasn't great, obviously. The Nationals did not look good. Their pitching really wasn't all too great. MacKenzie Gore did not have a good start, did not have a quality start at all. But even then, if you kind of look between and read between the lines here, Luis Garcia, 107 miles per hour off the bat, at a 770 expected batting average, line out. Okay, whatever. Baseball happens. This is an unlucky sport. And then you have Drew Millis, 106 off the bat. That is a ground out. That had a 620 expected batting average. It was a ground out. And then Lane Thomas had a line out that was 105 off the bat with a 580 expected batting average. Now, for people out there who really aren't deep in the analytics, the expected batting average is kind of just the expectation of where this ball will land and getting on base in particular, and if it's going to be a hit or not. And all three of those cases, they should have been a hit. The Nationals would have scored runs in those situations. But still, baseball is a tricky game. It is such a pain in the butt sort of game where you have innings like that, where you have guys who are ripping the cover off the baseball, in which the Nationals were getting loud, solid contact seamlessly all night. Joey Gallo went yard there, 2-run home run there to make it a good little game. The Nats just simply did not have the luck on their side, and that luck fell within the New York Mets. But you know what's lucky? Even more lucky than anything? That we, us Nationals fans, are not New York Mets fans. New York Mets fans, yesterday, I was sitting out in left field, section 106, sitting out in the red box, 106.7 the fan box, and I was there with a few buddies, just having a good time, enjoying the game, watching this team take on the New York Mets. We all hate the Mets. They stink. I hate Steve Cohen. I hate everything about the New York Mets. I'm a hater. Surprise. One thing that I noticed is that, and obviously a lot of Nationals fans have noticed this, Jesse Winker is a little bit of a talker. Jesse Winker was out in left field yesterday. Obviously, when you're at Nats Park on a Monday night, Mets fans, they tend to travel pretty well. And there's a lot of people who are transplants from New York who live in D.C. So Mets fans, they come to Nationals Park when they are in town, especially here over the last few years since Steve Cohen took over. Well, Jesse Winker, being his kind of chatty self, I noticed this, that, and we've all noticed this with him, is he throws out that little heart. The little heart that he throws up to his kids. He throws it up just all the time. It's kind of his thing, and it's a really cool thing. I think it's a lovable story for Jesse Winker. He's been a really likable guy since joining this Nationals team, and I think a lot of Nats fans love Jesse Winker already. He's one of the fan favorites. I would buy his jersey if I was you. I like Jesse Winker a lot. I'm a Jesse Winker guy. Out in left field, though, there's a group of New York Mets fans, about like 10 to 15 of them, mid-20s, probably like 6 beers deep each. Just having a good time. Whatever. You're at a baseball game. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself. Have all the fun. Drink your beer. Eat your hot dog. Eat your peanuts. Have a little chant. Whatever it is. Well, sitting a few rows behind them was a group of 20 to 25 third grade girls. Just having a good time. Maybe it was a family trip. Maybe it was a class field trip. I don't know why they were there, but there were a lot of them. They loved the fact that Jesse Winker kept on responding to them. They loved it. They loved it. They were throwing up the heart. Jesse Winker was giving the heart back. He was applauding them, kind of waving at them the entire game. Jesse Winker was turning around his shoulder after every damn pitch, looking at these kids, just doing what an adult should do. acknowledging their existence. He is a girl dad. He's talked about this many times. You saw him wish a happy birthday to his daughter just the other day. Jesse Winker is for the fans. He's a good dude, all-around likable guy. You root for Jesse Winker. Well, those New York Mets fans, the guys who I said were probably about 6 beers deep, they noticed that Jesse Winker was talking back to those kids. They took exception to that. Around the 4th inning, Jesse Winker, as he's still talking up with those kids, those Mets fans started to chirp a little bit, just a little bit. They were saying words that rhyme with duck. I'm not going to say it. And they had a little chant that said, F you. And it wasn't just the letter F. I can tell you that much. F you, Jesse. That's what they were chanting. Number one, just immature, stupid, so stupid. Just look around you. You look like a fool. You look like a complete idiot. All these Mets fans started chanting F you, Jesse, giving him the middle finger because he was turning around, showing the little heart emoji to those kids out there. And that is why I hate New York Mets fans. That is why. Nationals fans don't do this. Phillies fans, they do it. We expect it. Mets fans, you sort of expect it as well. What are they doing? What are you doing? This is why New York Mets fans, and really the New York Mets organization, is considered to be a complete joke in the year of 2024. When was the last time the Mets won a World Series? I never said anything to those people out there because, it's whatever. Last time the New York Mets won a World Series was 1986. The Washington football team, the joke that they are, have won a Super Bowl since the New York Mets have won a World Series. Think about that. It has been since 1986. A team that is filled with just pedestrian ball players that have the worst luck of the history of luck. What are they doing? Talking and just creaking havoc out in the outfield. Having a chant that said, bleep you, Jesse Winker. Jesse Winker is just interacting with a 3rd grade class. A bunch of 10-year-olds out there. And they're all yelling, bleep you, Jesse Winker. What are you doing? What kind of joke of a fan base you are? Read the room, man. Look around you. You have kids out there. It is a Monday night. You are pounding 6 beers at a ball game. Whatever. That's fine, I guess. But when you're mid-20s, and you've got a group of people around you, and you've got a bunch of 3rd graders around you as well, what are you doing? Sucking the fun out of that environment last night. Now, again, I'm 24 years old. I'm sure I've got friends out there who have probably said some bad things to baseball players before in the past. I'm sure I've had, in fact. I've never said it, but I would never say that. But I know people have. I know my friends, some of them maybe have in the past. But what are we doing? I mean, looking around the room, you see these 3rd graders just having a good time, and you are just sucking the fun out of it. I know I've been way too long about this New York Mets rant, but last night, that is why I hate New York Mets fans. That is why I hate the New York Mets. That is why that they will never have anything good in their lives. They're going to try to sign Juan Soto this offseason, but I can tell you this, if Juan Soto signs the New York Mets, they will never win a World Series. Number 1 payroll in all of baseball, and you have been a joke in 2024. New York Mets, go back up to New York. Thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen. Next, let's talk about CJ Abrams and the struggles as Discuss Baseball over on Twitter kind of pointed this out, and it is a very interesting note that I want you guys to know about as well. So before we get into it, let me tell you guys about our very good friends over at FanDuel. And guys, you know what time it is. It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel is giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more as the NBA Finals gets ready to start here on Thursday. You got the Celtics against the Mavericks. I'm going to take the over on Kyrie Irving points as well as Luka Doncic, and I also think the Mavericks win Game 1, and you can do that with our friends at FanDuel. Just add a little bit of money to your account, and it is so much fun. But again, that's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more, and you have bonus bets as well. I want you guys to have the fun that I have with FanDuel. And all you got to do is visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Again, visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. Thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, you can check us out over on YouTube. Just search Locked On Nationals. That is where you'll find your daily coverage of the Washington Nationals. So I went on a little bit too long there on that New York Mets rant. It was kind of just something that was burning a hole in my pocket. So now let's get back to baseball. Should we be concerned about CJ Abrams? Relax. Everybody, let's relax. CJ Abrams in the month of May was awful. Simple as that. It was really bad. We all knew that CJ Abrams was not himself at the plate. He was not stealing bases. But even more importantly, Discuss Baseball kind of pointed this out, in my opinion, that I think is interesting. Since May 1st, CJ Abrams has a negative 0.6 F4, which is the third worst in all of baseball. He had a 0.9% base on balls percentage, which is the worst in baseball, and a 43 weighted runs created plus, which is fourth worst in baseball, with just one stolen base in the month of May, all the way through his first game in June against the Guardians. I'm not concerned with CJ Abrams. And again, I was looking at this earlier today because the easy comparison to make with CJ Abrams is that he's Trey Turner. This is Trey Turner 2.0. He's got the same skill set as him. He's getting similar situations. But the one thing that's not similar between him and Trey Turner is the fact that CJ Abrams flew through the minor leagues. He did not play college baseball. He was drafted out of high school, as we all know, by the Padres and was a pretty big-time prospect for them. At one point in time, a top 10 prospect in all of baseball, which was a deserving rate for him. He was a very good prospect when the Nationals got him. We have very high expectations for him. He is the future over at shortstop, just unequivocally, in my opinion. But now you're starting to see him struggle a little bit. Here's the thing, though. He was off to such a hot start in April. His numbers were way higher than what a lot of people anticipated. We all knew that he wasn't going to be in the top 10 of slugging in Major League Baseball for the entire year of 2024. Does he have that capability? Maybe with his extra base hit threat, maybe the fact that he does have a little bit more power than what people expect. He still leads the team in home runs even after missing these last few games here and getting a little banged up here and there. But CJ Abrams, I'm not concerned about this at all. Now, in the moment right now for what the Nationals are, yeah, I am a little concerned considering that he is kind of the guy who makes this offense goes. Now with Lane Thomas back in the lineup, there's kind of been an evened out scale here, but when you have CJ Abrams and Lane Thomas both at full strength doing their thing, and then when you have James Wood up at some point this summer as well, that's when things will start to get a little bit more fun. Now with CJ Abrams kind of banged up here with the shoulder deal, back from his day in Cleveland, I'm not all too concerned about the big picture with CJ Abrams, though, and I don't think you should either. Because looking at Trey Turner's numbers, again, kind of going back to what we were saying, there's an easy comparison to make with Trey Turner and CJ Abrams. And in fact, I see it, I think, a lot more than other people as well. I think they are very comparable players, even back when they were the same age. Trey Turner did not really have a solid, great season until 2019. Now, I think Trey Turner is a bit better defensively over at shortstop than what Abrams is. But as far as their offensive production goes, Trey Turner, it took a little bit of a while for him to click. Now, when he first came up and made his debut, he killed the baseball that season, followed up the next year, played around 100 games, killed the baseball, but still, they had similar numbers. Trey Turner did not have an OPS above 800 until, I believe, 2020. Now, again, he had that broken finger in 2019 that kind of halted some things and his expectations as well. He was hitting with 9 fingers that entire year, basically. As we all remember, he had that one finger up. That is kind of what Trey Turner was. But again, he was doing that at a later date. CJ Abrams is 23 years old. Let me remind you this. CJ Abrams was flown through the minors, coming off a broken ankle down in the minor leagues as well in 2021. He got thrown up into the majors with the Padres. Fernando Tatis was on the shelf to start in 2022. And we all saw that CJ Abrams was a very raw prospect. People were excited about him in San Diego. If you talk to anyone from San Diego and Padres fans, they all had sky-high expectations for him. And it took a little bit of a while for it to click. And you started to see it in the second half of last season with the Nationals. As soon as he got up to the leadoff spot, that's when he stole 40-plus bases. He started to have some power as well. Things just started to click for him, and his second half splits were incredible compared to what they were to start off the first half of the season. But overall, big picture here, you should not be concerned about CJ Abrams because, again, this is a 23-year-old. He is 23 years old. He is younger than me. I'm 24. I feel like a kid. This guy is out there playing seamlessly every single day besides the last few games, obviously, as he's been recovering from being a little dinged up from Cleveland. But he's 23, man. This guy is going to be developing on the fly. He still is developing. He is still learning what it's like to be a major leaguer every single day. And CJ Abrams, let's be honest, he's probably been reading the press clippings as well. People talking about how they want to give him an extension. The Nationals trying to give him an extension. He's going to be a very rich man someday, as we all expect the Nationals to make a pretty good effort at extending their future star shortstop. That should be the decision, even with all these struggles right now. Now, the thing with Abrams is that will kind of rub me the wrong way a little bit is the fact that he's not stealing bases. While this team, the Nationals, they have been scrappy as you know what on the base pass this year, CJ Abrams really just has not been. You see guys like Jesse Winker, who's stealing bases, and he's never really stolen bases throughout his career. Lane Thomas is on a rate that is insane for stolen bases right now, even after being hurt and hurting his knee early on in April. This Nationals team, and CJ Abrams in particular, they will be just fine. He has hit a bumpy road, but as Davey Martinez said, which I hate I'm going to say this, bumpy roads lead to beautiful places. Oh, I hate myself for saying that, but whatever. 2019 was a long time ago, and the Nats, they've got a new team and a new core around them. So let's see what the Nationals can do. But overall, Nationals fans, let's relax on CJ Abrams. We will be just fine. Next, let's preview tonight's game as you have Trevor Williams. He's going up against his former team, the New York Mets. And we'll have that preview for you. But of course, got to tell you guys about our friends over at eBay Motors. And passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance: superchargers and roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the price you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, check us out over on YouTube. Just search Locked On Nationals. That is where you'll find your daily coverage of the Washington Nationals. As the Nationals, they take on the New York Mets tonight. David Peterson, left-handed pitcher for the Mets. You'll be seeing him against Trevor Williams. And this will be an intriguing matchup, to say the least, in my opinion, because I think the Nationals at times have kind of struggled against left-handed pitching. But overall, though, with CJ Abrams out of the lineup, you're going to have someone like an Ildemaro Vargas playing shortstop. Luis Garcia maybe could get on the action as well. And the Nats, they have seen him quite a bit. You look at guys like Nick Senzel. In 6 at-bats, he has killed Peterson for whatever reason out there. He's got a 667 batting average in 6 at-bats. He's got a home run, 3 RBIs, and a 2,000 OPS on this season. Wildly impressive. Ildemaro Vargas, again, 6 at-bats, the same exact stat line as Nick Senzel. You also look at Jesse Winker, same exact stat line as all the others, batting 500, only 2 at-bats, but a 1,500 ops on the season against him. I will want to see this series and kind of see what the Nationals do against Peterson. Now, on the other hand, with Trevor Williams, you may be wondering, well, how do they fare against Trevor Williams? Well, pretty damn good, to say the least. You have someone like Pete Alonso, who has an 805 OPS. He's gotten a home run against his former teammate with Trevor Williams. But in tonight's game, I think it's time to level out. I think it's time for this Nationals team to kind of take advantage of a really bad Mets team. And again, the key for this series, with a team that has such a poor bullpen, jump on the starting pitching early. Swing early in counts. Get on base. Just simply do your job. Now, that might seem like a pretty easy explanation. Well, like, yeah, duh. Get on base, get hits, get extra base hits, work the count, and pitch well. Of course, that's baseball. It's what you got to do. But with this bad bullpen, get in on the starting pitching early. You want to get into that bullpen and have the Mets just juice their guys throughout from number one all the way through the back end of their bullpen. And that is when you will see a much better product. Because as we saw last night, that Mets bullpen, it is a house of cards. You could blow them down with one little gust of wind. If that Nationals team, if you've got a little bit of power in you tonight, which, by the way, the ball was flying out of the yard in yesterday's game, I would expect for the same. It's a warm, humid day here in D.C. I could expect the Nationals to hit a couple home runs tonight against Peterson, and again, going into their bullpen as well. So that's going to be a big key for me. Jump on Peterson, get into the bullpen, and I guarantee you, if he does not make it through 5 or 6 innings, the Nationals, they will win this ball game tonight. So if you do that, maybe sprinkle a little cash with our friends over at FanDuel. Again, that is FanDuel.com/locked-on. So tomorrow's show, we will be talking about this Mets game again. I will not be at the Nats game tonight, so I will not be seeing any crappy Mets fans. But if you have any stories of yourself, I'm sure if you were at the game yesterday, you may know what I'm talking about. Leave a comment in the YouTube section about Mets fans, or let me know what your worst story is as far as New York Mets fans. I would love to hear it. I will be liking all those comments. If you drop something bad on the Mets fans, I love to talk bad about the New York Mets. So I will catch you guys on the flip side. Have a good one. Enjoy the game. Trevor Williams, do your thing.